Good morning, guys. Welcome back to the channel. So here on the farm with all of our goats and chickens and ducks and everything else like that, we really wanted a way to keep them in our backyard so they could eat the weeds without fear of them leaving and going outside of our yard and getting lost or killed. So we're putting in this big white vinyl fence around the yard, and today we wanted to show you how to install one of these vinyl fence panels because there's a few tricks that can really help you out. So the first real big tip that I would suggest is you get some like orange or pink string. You can usually get it in the cement section of your hardware store, and you go ahead and tie it to one of the posts that's way down the line, because then you can run it all the way down to where you want to end it, and you can line up the fence posts as you go. So we've done that. Move on to the second step. So go ahead and get yourself a tape measure. Make sure you have a decent one. If you don't, have one in the description below that you can use. And then we're going to measure out this wall. We're going to go from where the previous panel starts to the middle of this post. We'll show you why in a second. 93 inches. So that was 93 inches. We're going to take and now mark that on the ground. Now we'll take and find 93 inches on our tape measure, and we'll go ahead and mark it on the ground. And then we have our line that we set up earlier. Now this is the edge of that post. So we're gonna go just a couple inches in, make another line. That's where we're gonna dig. Now, you could use a post hole digger to dig these holes, and that might work if you only have one or two, or you want to get some energy out. But we have a better way. An auger. These things are awesome and can really save you a lot of time and really money because of that. There's one in the link below in the description. You can get them on Amazon for a fairly decent price, but they do really good in getting through even tough dirt. They're not perfect, so you may have to help them out. Use a pickaxe. Had a problem with that the other day, so I don't have one anymore. And at the end, you'll take your post hole digger and have to dig out some of the dirt that this thing leaves behind. Otherwise, these work awesome. Now that our hole is dug, let's go ahead and get our post. So real quick about these. When you're picking these out, make sure you get the right ones. There's a few different styles. The most popular is going to be this one. This is a line post, and that's because it has holes on both sides, on the top and on the bottom. You can get them, which we do have, and we'll use them a little bit later today, where they only have holes on one side. So if they're going to end the fence or go up to a gate. So make sure you get the right kind of fence post. So we're going to take this and sink it in the ground, making sure the holes are going towards the old fence piece. And if you guys can see, that's about exactly the same height that we want our fence post to be, because that's what our last one was. So we're gonna get our fencing pieces together. They're over here. We're gonna get them opened up, and then we'll go from there. All right, so we're gonna start with our bottom rail piece. I just wanted to point out a couple things if you guys haven't done these already. On the end, you're gonna have these two tabs, and on both sides. So this is what's going to go into the post, and it's going to be what holds this bottom rail into that post. So when we push it in, we'll pull out slightly after it's in to make sure that these engage on that vinyl part of the post. So there is a small trick to getting this side in easily because that post hole from the auger isn't that big. It's going to go ahead, bring the rail up, and then you're going to kind of slide it in gently. Once you get it down to the hole, kind of work it in, and then, so what we're gonna do now is push this post away from us to make sure to engage those clasps that are on each side of the rail on both ends. There we go. So we'll grab our second rail, or a top rail in this case. We'll go ahead and insert it into the top side here. All right, make sure to pull it out slightly to engage those clasps. Now I know what you're saying, Scott, this is gonna fall and hang and it's gonna break itself. Yes, that's my next tip for how to do this better. So you can do one of two things, and it kind of depends on the weather and if it's windy. If it's not windy, you can just set it on top and then I'll show you the next piece on how I do it from here. But if it is windy, what you can do is gently set it into that kind of hole, but don't engage the clasp so it doesn't get locked in there. Just set it there. So it's not windy right now, so we're gonna set it on top. That's my preferred method, and we'll move on to the next step. So these are the panels here that will go inside of this area here. It also comes with these two U-shaped brackets.
don't know what you call them. Anywho, make sure on your first piece of fencing, you go ahead and clasp it over, if you can see here. Okay, and then slide it all the way down. You're gonna have little sections on the end like that, but that's no big deal, that's okay. And then this is gonna go on the end as your first piece in. So, my tip here is, you're gonna put this in at an angle, see, like this, and then you align the top here with that rail that's underneath. Go ahead and slide it in and tap it on the top and bottom, and that's pretty much it. So, we'll also get a few pieces in and I'll show you my next step. So this is super important. Because you've been pushing these fence posts this way, there's sometimes a tendency for this top rail to get sucked into the post. So we wanna make sure to pull it a little bit, and it does pull a little bit. And you can see there's a little space here, and that formed when we pulled it. So we're gonna pull it a little bit, make sure to engage those clasps, and then push our fencing pieces in. Make sure to make it nice and tight. So after that's done, there's enough support here with these middle pieces that we can take the top rail off the other post and then just lightly sink it down. You may need to maneuver some of these. There we go. So we're gonna get the rest of these pieces in and we'll be back with you for the last one. So these last couple can be a little tough. Depending on which side you have the top rail on, you're gonna kind of have to insert it in the bottom rail and then push the top rail back just a little bit and then tilt your fence piece down until you can get it in the slot of that top rail and push it back. And then on the last piece, make sure you got the little U-shaped thingamabob. It's the technical term for it. It's what we like to call it. Make sure to put that on the end. In this case, when we started, we put it on this side. So when we end it, make sure to put it on the other side. You may have to pull this out a little bit, just like this, to get this in here. It's gonna kind of be a tight fit. If you need to guide it into the rail from the top, like that, you can. And what you're doing here is just, it's tighter at the bottom. So if you can get it in at the top and then just slide it down, that'll work best. Sure it's all the way down. Then this is the most difficult part of the whole thing. You gotta pull the post your way, push the top rail the other way, and do the same thing like we did before, but very carefully. Sometimes you gotta even pull up that top rail a little bit. And this is not gonna cooperate because I'm making a video on this one. So what we're gonna do is slightly lift the top rail up using this as leverage, and then we'll push it down. There we go. Now, it did come off a little bit down the way, so we gotta make sure to get everything in down the line. So at this point, we're gonna go ahead and come around to the other side. As you can see here, you can see through the fence post. We're gonna kind of line it up a little bit. Once you get to this point, you can see that up here is a little bit high, so we're gonna push down. So let's see, it's just right there. And then you can see everything lines up. All we do is push on this top post that way. There we go. So now you can tell there's no space. Everything is perfectly aligned. So the next thing we're gonna do is get our cement. Yes, if you read the manufacturer's instructions, it says you don't have to cement these things in. We live in the high desert of California, where 50-mile-an-hour winds are normal in the spring and summer. So we cement each and every one. We use the red bag cement from Lowe's or Home Depot. It's about $5 to $6 a bag for a 50-pound bag. And this stuff is perfect for fencing because you can pour it dry into your fence post and then just pour water on top of it if you have a hose or a bucket, and it will set like that. So we're gonna get our dry stuff put in the hole. We're gonna level it, make sure everything is nice and level before we put water in, and then we're gonna get our bucket full and pour some water in and check the level again, and then we'll be done. The last step is going to be taking your level, making sure it's level straight up and down, and then we're done. That's actually pretty easy. It's a pretty fast process here in real life, unedited. It only took about 15 to 20 minutes for one of these panels. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments below. Or if you're doing this yourself, make sure to give a thumbs up and let me know if you have any issues, questions, concerns, anything else like that. Otherwise, I'm gonna get to putting in more fencing and we'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.